When I was in labor and hemorrhaging, the doctor asked Gu Huai whether to save the mother or the baby. Gu Huai slowly uttered two words, "Save the baby." The cold, indifferent voice of the man echoed in my ear, "This is what you owe Ching Ching." In the end, both I and the baby died on the operating table, a tragic double loss of life. When I opened my eyes again, I had gone back to the day Gu Huai's beloved went to the hospital for an abortion. I called Gu Huai, "Su Ching Ching is going to terminate the pregnancy, get to the hospital now. In this new life, we owe each other nothing." I chose to step aside for them, wishing them a long and happy life together. Here's $1 million, get rid of the baby and stop bothering my son. The familiar voice made me realize I had been reborn. In the cafe, a dignified middle-aged noblewoman sat beside me. Across from her stood a woman in a white cotton dress, her face bare of makeup, her belly slightly rounded. She hung her head, her hand trembling lightly as she held the coffee cup. This was Su Ching Ching, Gu Huai's white moonlight. In her previous life, she was abandoned by a scumbag, became pregnant, and begged Gu Huai to marry her, to give her unborn child a name. After a night of contemplation, Gu Huai chose to break off our engagement and marry Su Ching Ching. Although we haven't officially registered yet, the news of our engagement has already spread. Breaking off the engagement now would undoubtedly humiliate my family and make us the laughingstock of our circle. So, Gu's mother assured, "Don't worry, your wedding will proceed as planned." $1 million, which terminated Su Ching Ching's pregnancy and also cut off her chance of marrying Gu Huai. I can never forget the moment when Gu Huai found out that Su Ching Ching's child was gone. His eyes were bloodshot. He grabbed my neck with one hand and shouted angrily, "One day, I will make you pay with your life." The excruciating pain below, the blood all over the bed, and Gu Huai's cold words, "Say the child," that bone-piercing agony still haunts me, even after being reborn. "Xiaoji, let's go home." Gu's mother's gentle voice brought me back to my senses. She patted my hand, "It's all taken care of. That woman took the money and is now going to the hospital for an abortion. Rest assured, no one can tear you and Ah Huai apart." Gu's mother led me out of the cafe, and just as Su Ching Ching hailed a taxi, she bent over with her pregnant belly to get in. I made an excuse to say goodbye to Gu's mother, then hailed a taxi and headed for the hospital. In this life, I won't let Su Ching Ching abort the child, and I won't owe her anything anymore. In the taxi, I gave Gu Huai a call. "Su Ching Ching is going to terminate the pregnancy, get to the hospital, now." In the hospital, Su Ching Ching's number was called. Su Ching Ching took a few hesitant steps, constantly looking back as she slowly inched her way toward the operating room. I stood at the corner of the hallway, with a clear view of everything happening at the operating room door. I know she was waiting for Gu Huai. In her previous life, before going into surgery, she sent a message to Gu Huai, but he never showed up because Gu Huai's phone had been tampered with by his mother, blocking Su Ching Ching's number. When he learned the news from Su Ching Ching's best friend and rushed to the hospital, Su Ching Ching had already finished the surgery and was lying in bed. Su Ching Ching tearfully told Gu Huai that the baby was gone, because someone couldn't tolerate her and the child. Adding to that, Su Ching Ching's number had been blocked. Gu Huai naturally assumed it was me, pinning all the blame on my shoulders. In this life, I took the initiative and called Gu Huai. He finally arrived just before Su Ching Ching was wheeled into the operating room. Su Ching Ching threw herself into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "Gu Huai, someone wants me to abort the baby and stop bothering you." The woman in his arms was crying like a rain-soaked pear blossom, but Gu Huai stood stiffly, silent. This time, he had no reason to doubt me because I was the one who took the initiative to call and inform him. Su Ching Ching, seeing that Gu Huai wasn't reacting, decided to be blunt. "It's Lin Ji. She gave me $1 million to abort the child and forbade us from getting married." How vicious of her. We had agreed that, for the sake of giving the child an identity, we would only have a fake marriage. Why would she harm an innocent little life? Gu Huai lowered his eyes without a word, just held the person tighter. I took a deep breath and turned to leave. Su Ching Ching's child was saved, and Gu Huai could finally marry her as he wished. Gu Huai was determined to marry Su Ching Ching despite his family's objections. It said that he was forced to kneel for a day and a night, and even got severely beaten by his father, yet it still couldn't change his resolve. Gu Huai's parents came to my house to apologize. "It's our failure as parents that has caused Xiaoji such distress." My mother held Mrs. Gu's hand and said, "Matters of the heart can't be forced. It seems the children just weren't meant to be." My marriage to Gu Huai was arranged by our grandfathers when they were young, a childhood betrothal. Because old Master Gu was critically ill, our wedding plans were suddenly brought to the forefront. After Gu's parents left, my mother comforted me, saying, "It's all right. Our Gigi is so wonderful. You'll definitely find someone who truly loves In a daze, I remembered my mother saying the exact same thing in my past life. By that time, Gu Huai and I were already married. Just a few months after our wedding, the old master Gu passed away. That period was incredibly painful for me. Gu Huai had been extremely cold toward me ever since Su Qingqing's miscarriage. The prolonged emotional abuse led me to severe depression. My mother cried when she found out I was taking antidepressants. She said, "Gigi, get a divorce. If this marriage can't bring you happiness, only pain, there's no point in continuing. Our Gigi is so outstanding, you'll always find someone who truly loves you." Under my mother's persuasion, I also considered divorce, but Gu Huai suddenly changed. He became extremely caring, asking about my well-being, as if his previous coldness and scolding were just my imagination. That time was so sweet, so intoxicatingly sweet, that I forgot all about Su Qingqing and truly believed Gu Huai loved me. I only found out later it was just arsenic coated in honey, letting me sink into its embrace before delivering the final, fatal blow. For I saw Su Qingqing again at the bridal shop. A shop assistant informed me that the wedding dress I had ordered had arrived. The words I no longer needed rose to my lips, only to be swallowed back down. In my past life, Gu Huai blamed me for Su Qingqing's miscarriage, and we remained in a state of cold war right up until the wedding. I was in such a terrible state of mind that I never once wore the beautiful wedding dress I had ordered. The two of us went straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get our marriage certificate. In a way, it fulfilled the last wish of the late Elder Gu. This time, I want to wear a beautiful wedding dress, not for any man, but to please myself. As I entered the bridal shop, I heard a familiar female voice. "Ah Huai, this wedding dress is so beautiful, I want to try this one." As I looked up, I saw Su Qingqing pointing at the pure white lace wedding dress on the mannequin. It was the one I had reserved. I curled my lip in a sneer. Su Qingqing really had to compete with me over everything. Gu Huai's low voice sounded, "Could you please take that wedding dress down? My wife would like to try it on." Before the shop assistant could respond, I stepped over to the mannequin first. "This gown is custom made. I'm afraid it won't fit your wife." After saying that, I made a point of glancing at Su Qingqing's swollen belly. Su Qingqing and Gu Huai clearly hadn't expected me to be here. After a few seconds of stunned silence, Su Qingqing's eyes welled up with tears. "Xiaoji, please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to take him from you. I've just never worn a wedding dress before, so I asked Ah Huai to help me fulfill this wish. Don't worry, we won't be having a wedding ceremony." In her previous life, Su Qingqing also never wore a wedding dress. After losing the child, she left Beijing and later married an alcoholic. It's said that not long after, she was beaten to death by her alcoholic husband. Her wishes are none of my business, as long as she doesn't try to take my wedding dress. I asked the shop assistant to take the wedding dress down for me to try on. Suddenly, a well-defined hand gripped my wrist. 5. Gu Huai looked at me, his eyes deep and intense. "Why are you trying on wedding dresses? You're not getting married." His scrutinizing gaze made me laugh. I pulled my hand away. "Who said I'm not getting married?" Gu Huai's face darkened with anger as he dragged me out of the bridal shop. "Let go of me, Gu Huai." He used so much force that my hand ached from his grip. Outside the shop, he still held me tightly, a red mark forming around my wrist. "Lin Ji, can you stop making a scene, please?" Gu Huai frowned deeply. "I've told you so many times, as soon as Qingqing gives birth and the child is registered, I'll divorce her and we'll get married. You can't even wait a few months. One moment you want Qingqing to abort the child, the next you're trying to steal her wedding dress." His gaze at me was filled with disappointment. "Lin Ji, how come I never noticed before how strong your jealousy is?" My chest hurt terribly in Gu Huai's eyes. Whether in my past life or this one, I am just a malicious woman with strong jealousy. He has never liked me. He only feels disgust and hatred towards me. But when I was young, whenever I was bullied, he would stand in front of me and say softly, "Don't be afraid, Xiaoji. Big brother will protect you forever." The Gu Huai brother who promised to protect and take care of me is gone forever. Seeing me lower my eyes in silence, Gu Huai softened his tone. "Alright, let Qingqing have the wedding dress. It can be resized for her to wear. How about I order you a more beautiful wedding dress when we get married?" I looked up at Gu Huai's hypocritical face and felt sick. "No need," I sneered. "Why should my wedding dress be given to her? And one more thing, we're not getting married either." I ignored Gu Huai and turned to walk into the shop, but the next second, I was on the verge of a breakdown. Su Qingqing ignored the staff's attempts to stop her and yanked my wedding dress off the mannequin. The flawless wedding dress was instantly torn in two. 6. Her phone showed a money transfer notification from Gu Huai. "Qingqing didn't mean it. Please don't hold it against her. Take the 2 million for now, and later I'll take you to order a more expensive and beautiful wedding dress." I didn't take his money and threw my phone On the table at that moment, I was really furious, almost wanting to tear Su Qingqing apart, but when I caught a glimpse of her abdomen, I managed to hold myself back. In this life, no matter what, I cannot let Su Qingqing lose her child. I no longer owe them anything, but I will not allow them to hurt me. I exhaled a deep breath, picked up my phone, and blocked all of Gu Huai's contact information right now. I just want to cut all ties with them forever. As fate would have it, I ran into Su Qingqing again. Just a week later, I passed by Su Qingqing in the mall. I intended to pretend I didn't know her, but someone tugged at the hem of my clothes. Xiaoji, I really didn't mean to tear that wedding dress. I just liked it too much. Su Qingqing's tears were welling up again. Can you forgive me? Watching her tears fall so effortlessly, I felt a surge of irritation. So, you'll try to take anything that's mine, won't you? Those words successfully stopped Su Qingqing from crying. She blinked her moist eyes and slightly curved her lips. Isn't that allowed? Xiaoji, why do you get a good family background, an excellent fiancé, and I have nothing at all? I have so little. Could you share some with me? I rolled my eyes in exasperation. She was Gu Huai's first love, his white moonlight. He had pursued her once, but she looked down on him, aiming instead to latch onto someone of higher status. The crown prince of the Beijing elite, Shen Jingzi. In the end, the young master wanted nothing to do with her. Instead, she was toyed with by other young men in that circle and ended up being callously discarded. Gu Huai is yours now. Please stop bothering me. Okay, I just wanted to get away from her as fast as possible. Even her touch made my skin crawl. Xiaoji, I'm begging you. Please leave Jing City. My child can't grow up without a father. If you just leave, Gu Huai and I can be together for good. I suddenly widened my eyes. What kind of wild words was she saying? I've already compromised this much, yet it's still not enough. She insists I must leave my hometown to fulfill her wishes. Impossible. Whether you can keep Gu Huai after marriage depends on your own abilities. I gently pushed her away and walked off. Ah, Su Qingqing suddenly screamed and fell backward. 7 In a flash, I rushed to Su Qingqing's back and caught her by the waist with both hands, yet she kept backing away. Her full weight shifting onto me, I staggered, unable to hold my ground, and we both tumbled to the floor. But in that final moment before we hit the ground, I kept a firm grip on her waist, guiding her to fall on top of me. My back slammed hard against the floor, a sharp pain shooting through my lower back, and I couldn't suppress a sharp hiss of breath. To my surprise, Su Qingqing burst into tears first. Xiaoji, I won't fight you for Ah Huai anymore. I beg you, don't hurt the child. Ah Huai, save me. Hearing those words, I jerked my head up, meeting Gu Huai's sharp, piercing gaze. He carefully helped Su Qingqing to her feet and drew her into his embrace. Su Qingqing buried her face in his chest, weeping as if her heart would break. Ah Huai, I was wrong. Let's not get married. I know Xiaoji is angry with me, but if she has a problem, she should take it out on me. The child is innocent. Gu Huai stared down at me, his gaze icy and severe. Lin Ji, when did you become so vicious? Time and again, you've tried to harm Qingqing's child. That is a living, breathing life. Aren't you afraid of karma catching up to you? His cold, severe expression reminded me of my past life. When he learned Su Qingqing had lost her child, he looked at me with that same icy, chilling stare. The suffocating feeling of hands around my throat surged up once more. I averted my gaze and took a deep, forceful breath to push down the suffocating feeling. My disregard must have infuriated Gu Huai even more. As he kicked me in the side, the pain made me wince, my brow furrowing tightly. Don't think playing dead on the ground is going to let you off the hook. Get up and apologize, now. At this moment, a crowd of onlookers had gathered around, some of whom had witnessed the entire incident and were voicing their support for me. This man is too much. How could he treat a girl like this? And she fell because she was trying to save that woman. She never intended to harm the woman or her unborn child. For a moment, whispers filled the air around us. Gu Huai frowned, his gaze shifting between me and Su Qingqing, as if trying to determine who was lying. Ah, Su Qingqing cried out, suddenly clutching her stomach. Ah Huai, my stomach hurts so much. Please save my child. I can't lose him. Gu Huai pursed his lips, glancing at me with a cold stare, and said, if anything happens to Qingqing's child, don't even think about me marrying you. After saying that, he hurried away with Su Qingqing in his arms. I watched the man's retreating figure and smirked. I couldn't ask for more. A kind soul helped me up, but it seemed I had hurt my back, and I nearly fell again. At that moment, a pair of strong, slender hands caught me from behind. A lazy drawl drifted down from above me. In a hurry to throw yourself at me, I looked up and saw a dangerously handsome face. The man's eyes held a glint of mischief and recklessness. His hand was supporting my waist, and another wave of pain shot through me. I gritted my teeth. Shen Jingzi, take me to the hospital. 8 In the hospital. The doctor diagnosed that my lumbar spine was injured and I needed to rest in bed for a week. Upon hearing the news, my mom rushed to the hospital, extremely worried when she saw me lying flat on the hospital bed. Xiaoji, what happened to you? I couldn't turn my head, so I just shot my mom a sidelong glance. It's nothing, Mom, I just took a little tumble. Oh, you silly child, how could you be so careless? My mother chided me, but her voice trailed off as her gaze fell upon the man in the hospital room. Whether in a past life or this one, Shen Jingzi has always carried himself with an exceptional grace, commanding attention wherever he goes. He gave my mom a nod and greeted her. Auntie, my mom immediately beamed with a smile. Oh, hello, who is he? Your new boyfriend, my mom whispered, leaning in close to my ear. My face flushed for no apparent reason, and I quickly denied it. Mom, don't say things like that. My mom gave me a knowing look. Oh, right, I have something to take care of. I'll be off now. She hurried out of the ward, closing the door behind her with care. My mouth twitched involuntarily. Shen Jingzi chuckled, walking over to the bedside and said with a smile, Auntie is quite adorable. As I gazed into Shen Jingzi's familiar features, my eyes welled up with tears. Our acquaintance began with an unexpected incident. Shen Jingzi got a cramp in his leg while swimming, and I jumped in to save him from drowning. Because of this unexpected act of saving his life, my relationship with Shen Jingzi grew closer. In my past life, Gu Huai warned me to stay away from Shen Jingzi, saying he was no good. Back then, I just laughed at him, teasing him for being such a jealous man. It was only later that I realized Gu Huai was jealous, just not of me, but of Su Qingqing. The night before Gu Huai and I got our marriage license, Shen Jingzi came to see me. He said, you won't be happy marrying Gu Huai, come with me. Seeing his outstretched hand, I remained silent for a long time before turning and leaving. In my past life, I chose the long-standing bond with Gu Huai, only to end up battered and lost my life. Shen Jingzi left the country on the day I married Gu Huai and never returned. Tears had silently streamed down my face. Shen Jingzi wiped my tears away, his eyes flickering with panic and concern. Is your back still hurting? I'll go get the doctor. I took his hand and pressed it against my cheek, feeling the warmth of his palm, and shook my head. Shen Jingzi. I looked at him steadily. Will you marry me? 9. I spent a week in the hospital before I was discharged. On the day I was discharged, Shen Jingzi had a meeting at his company, so I didn't ask him to pick me up. I never thought I'd run into Gu Huai and Su Qingqing again. Gu Huai carefully supported Su Qingqing as they entered the elevator, his attentiveness leaving nothing to be desired. In my past life, I went to every prenatal checkup alone, seeing all the other expectant mothers accompanied by their husbands. I couldn't help but feel a pang of envy. They stepped into the elevator. Still deep in conversation, I tried to shrink into the corner, but Gu Huai spotted me instantly. Lin Ji, you followed us all the way to the hospital. What are you trying to pull? Su Qingqing shrank into Gu Huai's arms. Xiaoji, please, just leave us alone. I'll give Gu Huai back to you. Okay, just spare me and the baby. That being said, her glance was full of provocation and show-off. Gu Huai held her tightly. Don't be afraid, no one can hurt you as long as I'm here. He glared at me with malice. Even though I hadn't done anything, I had become the most vicious woman in his eyes. Get out of the way. I didn't want to talk to them any further, so I stepped past them and exited the elevator. Suddenly, a large hand grabbed my wrist. Apologize. Gu Huai gritted his teeth and spat out those two words, his grip tightening as if he were about to crush my wrist bone. The pain was so intense that tears were about to spill from my eyes. In this life and the last, he has torn me apart for Su Qingqing's sake. I told myself not to cry, but the pain was too much. My body aches, but my heart aches even more. That brother Gu Huai, who promised to protect me forever, is gone for good. Tears streamed down my face as I clenched my teeth and retorted, I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I apologize to the homewrecker who stole my man? Su Qingqing whispered through her tears. I'm not the other woman. Gu Huai was seething with rage. He let go of my wrist and raised his hand to slap me. At that moment, someone grabbed his hand from behind. A cold, low voice rang out. What do you think you're doing to my fiancé? 10. Gu Huai frowned deeply, his gaze fixed on the man behind him. Shen Jingzi, what nonsense are you spouting? Where is your fiancé? Shen Jingzi wrenched Gu Huai's arm back with brutal force, a sharp, sickening crack echoing in the air. Gu Huai's face darkened instantly, wincing in pain. His brow furrowed as beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. Shen Jingzi pulled me into his embrace, his eyes turning dark and unreadable as they fell upon the angry red marks on my wrist. He stroked my wrist casually and said, if you dare to hurt my fiancé again, it won't be just a crippled hand. After saying that, he wrapped his arm around me and prepared to leave. Gu Huai mustered his last bit of strength and roared through gritted teeth, Shen Jingzi, when did you start liking to pick up trash? Do you know, Lin Ji is just a worn-out pair of shoes I played with, bang. Shen Jingzi kicked Gu Huai to the ground, leaving him sprawled on his back. Immediately after, a black leather shoe ground harshly into Gu Huai's mouth. Since you can't speak, there's no point in keeping this mouth of yours. Gu Huai's mouth was muffled by a dusty shoe. Rubbing back and forth, he whimpered, unable to speak. His eyes, bloodshot and filled with hatred, were fixed on Shen Jingzi. Su Qingqing, standing nearby, was already paralyzed with fear. Frozen in place after a long moment, she snapped back to reality and slowly sank to her knees, clutching Shen Jingzi's leg. Shen Jingzi, I beg you, spare Ah Huai. If you have a grievance, take it out on me. She wept as if her heart were breaking, her arms locked tightly around Shen Jingzi's thigh, rendering him immobile. Relying on the child in her womb, she was certain Shen Jingzi wouldn't dare lay a hand on her. Shen Jingzi was never one to be pushed around. With his powerful family backing him, he knew someone would always clean up his messes. He impatiently pulled his foot back, ready to kick Su Qingqing away. I quickly grabbed his arm and shook my head. Don't dirty your shoes on people like them. Shen Jingzi snorted a couple of times but ultimately held back, yet Su Qingqing seemed utterly oblivious, clinging to Shen Jingzi's leg and refusing to let go. She looked just like the desperate, love-struck fool she had been when she was chasing after Shen Jingzi. Su Qingqing, if you want to keep that child and still marry Gu Huai, you'd better be smart about this. Let go. I looked down at her from my superior position. There she was, heavily pregnant, kneeling on the ground, unsteady and utterly pathetic. A moment later, she reluctantly let go of her hand. Worn-out shoes and a tortoise, a match made in heaven. Shen Jingzi disdainfully glanced at them and then led me away. Behind them, Su Qingqing's stifled sobs and Gu Huai's pained cries could be heard. 11. Shen Jingzi seemed furious. The hand on my shoulder tightened its grip. I glanced at his expression and pressed my lips together. I couldn't tell if he was angry because Gu Huai and Su Qingqing had bullied me, or because of what Gu Huai had said. I tugged at his sleeve. Shen Jingzi, there's nothing between me and Gu Huai. If you're bothered by it. He shot me a fierce glare, and the rest of my words caught in my throat, left unsaid. Honestly, it's only natural for him to be bothered. Looking back now, in our past life, Gu Huai's suspicions about me never truly went away. After I became pregnant, Gu Huai's attitude was cold and distant, showing no excitement or joy whatsoever. Beyond the fact that Su Qingqing was forced to terminate her pregnancy, the more crucial reason was likely his suspicion that the child I was carrying wasn't his. Even though I had long since cut off contact with Shen Jingzi after our marriage, Gu Huai still didn't trust me. Driven by rage and suspicion, Gu Huai ultimately set me on a path of no return. Shen Jingzi's dark eyes gazed at me intently, and after a long while, he sighed. Lin Ji, you were the one who proposed marriage. Aren't you going to take responsibility for me? What? I was a bit caught off guard. In the next moment, Shen Jingzi hugged me, pressing my head against his chest. I don't care about your past with Gu Huai, but I want to be a part of your future. Lin Ji, this time, please don't leave me behind. Listening to his strong, steady heartbeat, a pang of emotion hit me, making my nose sting. If in my past life, I had seen Gu Huai for who he truly was and taken Shen Jingzi's outstretched hand, perhaps the ending would have been different. Fortunately, heaven gave me a second chance. This time, I don't want to miss it. I leaned against him, tightly holding Shen Jingzi's hand. Shen Jingzi, let's get married. 12. My parents were overjoyed to hear that I was getting married to Shen Jingzi, especially my mom. She was just about to grab a megaphone and brag at the Gu family's doorstep. I told you my daughter is so outstanding. She's sure to find someone better. Gu Huai was blind, treating a shameless woman like a treasure, bullying my daughter, and now he's getting his comeuppance. Rumor has it that Gu Huai nearly lost the use of his hand. It took several major surgeries just to save it. What happened at the mall that day became a closely guarded secret within their circle. The mall surveillance cameras didn't capture the incident, and witnesses have been tight-lipped about it. Some say Gu Huai crossed someone you don't cross, all for Su Qingqing's sake. Some even claimed Su Qingqing was a jinx, and that Gu Huai's insistence on marrying her was what brought on the misfortune. Opinions were divided. Because of this, the elders of the Gu family were absolutely furious. Old Master Gu, in particular, was so enraged that he was rushed straight to the ICU. Su Qingqing's dream of using a child to trap Gu Huai into marriage was utterly shattered. Shen Jingzi and I chose a good day to get our marriage certificate. When I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau, it felt like a lifetime ago. In my previous life, the scene of me getting my marriage certificate with Gu Huai is still vivid in my mind. Back then, we had already started a cold war because of Su Qingqing, but to fulfill old Master Gu's final wish, and because I still saw Gu Huai through the rose-tinted glasses of our childhood, that's why I chose to step into that unhappy marriage with him. I still remember our wedding photo. We were a picture of discord, forcing smiles that didn't reach our eyes. Not in this lifetime. This time, I'm going to seize my own happiness and never let go. Shinjingza held my hand, and we exchanged a smile before stepping into the Civil Affairs Bureau together. Little did we expect to run into Gu Huai here. 13. Gu Huai's right hand was wrapped in bandages and secured to his neck with a splint. His hair had grown long, and his face was covered in stubble, giving him a generally unkempt appearance the moment he appeared. Security stopped him at the door. Indeed, his clothing and overall look were completely out of place among the people here. He looked a bit like a patient who had escaped from a psychiatric hospital. It's obvious why he's here. It's all for Su Qingqing. I never realized Gu Huai's feelings for Su Qingqing ran so deep. He was even willing to break ties with his family to marry Su Qingqing. But none of this has anything to do with me anymore. Shinjingza and I walked past him without a second glance. Unexpectedly, Gu Huai seized my wrist. A cold sensation, like a serpent coiling around my wrist, made me cry out, "Let go of me." Shinjingza narrowed his eyes, an aura of lethal intent radiating from him. But before Shinjingza could even move, Gu Huai suddenly dropped to his knees. He looked up at me, his eyes rimmed with red. "Xiaoji, please give me another chance. I remember everything now." 14. The anesthesia made Gu Huai forget the pain of the surgery. In his drugged sleep, he dreamed of his past life. When Su Qingqing came to him with her swollen belly, his first instinct was to refuse. In our youth, we are always drawn to novel people and things. Su Qingqing came from a poor family, yet she was driven, resilient, and unyielding, a world apart from the spoiled sons and daughters of wealthy families like them. He had been drawn to her once, harboring a youthful infatuation, but that infatuation was fleeting, especially after he discovered that Su Qingqing was a vain and materialistic woman. Whatever remained of his feelings vanished completely. He realized his true feelings. The one he had always liked was his childhood sweetheart, Lin Ji. However, the appearance of another man was like a thorn piercing his heart. Shinjingza, a true golden boy, was blessed with good looks and an illustrious background. All women were madly infatuated with him, flocking around him, including Su Qingqing and Lin Ji. Every time he saw Lin Ji and Shinjingza laughing and chatting, he was consumed by insane jealousy. They grew up together since childhood sweethearts, so why couldn't he measure up to the sudden arrival of Shinjingza? Why would Lin Ji smile so happily at Shinjingza, while all he got from her was cold indifference and arguments? Therefore, he wanted to get revenge on Lin Ji. He deliberately agreed to Su Qingqing's request, broke off the engagement with Lin Ji, and married Su Qingqing. He wanted to humiliate Lin Ji and make her experience the pain he felt. Seeing the pain on Lin Ji's face, he felt an indescribable sense of pleasure. Later, Su Qingqing's child miscarried. Su Qingqing poured out her grievances to him, detailing how vicious Lin Ji had been in forcing her to abort the child, yet he felt almost nothing. So what if the child was gone? It wasn't his anyway. But then Su Qingqing let slip, "Actually, the child I was carrying was Shinjingza's. Lin Ji is in love with Shinjingza. That's why she couldn't let my baby live." That single sentence alone was enough to set his nerves on edge. Everyone in the circle knew that Shinjingza despised Su Qingqing, and she was pregnant with a child conceived through manipulation by other wealthy young men. Yet, he blindly believed Su Qingqing's story. The mention of Shinjingza was his Achilles heel, instantly robbing him of all rationality. So, using the pretext of Su Qingqing losing her child, he unleashed all his anger on Lin Ji. He married Lin Ji, determined to keep her and Shinjingza apart forever, and to make Lin Ji suffer unbearably. Right up until the moment Lin Ji was dying in childbirth, he was still consumed by thoughts of revenge against her. That's why he uttered that heartless command, "Save the child." But when he learned that both Lin Ji and the unborn child had died on the operating table, Gu Huai was engulfed by overwhelming grief. He had indeed taken his revenge on Lin Ji, but his own suffering was no less than hers. After they got married, Shinjingza completely disappeared, but the thorn had sunk too deep, making Gu Huai unable to let go forever. But when he lost the one he loved the most, he regretted it deeply. If there is an afterlife, he must treat Lin Ji well, keep his childhood promise, take care of her, and protect her. But it was too late. By the time he regained his past life's memories, Lin Ji was already about to marry Shinjingza. 15. Xiaoji, I was wrong. I never had feelings for Su Qingqing. I only married her to make you jealous. You're the one I've always loved. I'm jealous of Shinjingza. We grew up together, yet you only have eyes for him. Jealousy made me lose my mind, which led me to do those things that hurt you. Can you give me a chance to make it up to you? Gu Huai looked up at me, his eyes red and filled with guilt and regret. I took a deep breath, and in the end, I couldn't help but slap him across the face. Gu Huai, people like you are not worthy of saying the word love. To love someone is to Be tolerant, to trust, to care, not to hurt, hurting me freely under the guise of jealousy. You don't love me at all. The person you love most is yourself. I must have been blind in my past life, choosing a cold-blooded, cruel beast like you over Shinjingza. Gu Huai wasn't angry about being hit. Instead, he gave a slight tug at his lips and brought his face close to my hand. Xiaoji, hit me as many times as you need to. Just please, don't be angry anymore. Go on, hit me with everything you've got. Gu Huai had completely lost his mind. His frenzied state sent a chill down my spine. I kept backing away until I was safely tucked into Shinjingza's arms. Shinjingza reached out to shield me, planting his foot firmly to send Gu Huai sprawling. Gu Huai landed in a heap on the ground, then suddenly let out a bitter, mocking laugh. Linji, do you really think Shinjingza has feelings for you? In our past life, after he went abroad, I heard he dated plenty of other girls. Do you honestly believe you're the only one for him? Shinjingza was furious and eager to explain to me, but I interrupted him. In my previous life, I rejected him, and who he dates is his own freedom. At least he never did anything to harm me. More importantly, he made it back just before I took my last breath. I remember him whispering in my ear, Linji, I will avenge all the suffering you've endured. I turned to Shinjingza. Am I right, Jingza? A flicker of surprise crossed Shin Jingza's eyes, followed by understanding. You already know everything. I nodded the moment he pleaded, this time, please don't leave me behind. I knew he had been reborn too. Thankfully, we were reborn just in time. There was still a chance to set things right. Gu Huai only laughed louder. See, it's all karma, just as they say. His laughter drew the attention of many couples there to register their marriage, who stopped to watch. I can't believe a lunatic just barged into the civil affairs bureau just as the security guard was about to throw Gu Huai out. Another madwoman came rushing in from outside. 16, Huai, you promised you'd marry me, have you forgotten? Su Qingqing, with her pregnant belly, rushed over at a brisk pace. She showed no regard whatsoever for the child in her womb. Perhaps in her eyes, the child was merely a tool to help her climb the social ladder. Su Qingqing threw herself beside Gu Huai, her face streaked with tears. Ah Huai, let's get married, please. Let's get married today. Gu Huai snapped back to reality and pushed her away in disgust. Get away from me, you crazy woman. If it weren't for you, I would have married Xiaoji long ago. This is all your fault. He stood up and walked towards me again. Xiaoji, let's get married now. Just like in our previous life. I promise this time, I will treat you well. Gu Huai had a mesmerized smile on his face. He was completely insane. Shinjingza stepped in front of me, ready to restrain Gu Huai. Su Qingqing behind me grabbed Gu Huai's arm first. Ah Huai, she doesn't want you, but I do. Shall we get our marriage certificate today? Gu Huai turned to look at Su Qingqing, his eyes full of disdain and disgust. Su Qingqing, do you really think a filthy woman like you is worthy of marrying me? With that, Gu Huai forcefully pushed her away. Su Qingqing let out a scream, falling to the ground. Soon, blood began to flow from her thigh, staining the entire floor red. That day, the scene was utter chaos. Shinjingza and I never managed to get our marriage certificate. When Su Qingqing was taken to the hospital, she lost her child and became mentally unstable. Every day, she would stop people on the street, asking, "Where is my child? Give my child back to me." Later, she was forcibly sent to a mental institution. She would spend the rest of her life in a dimly lit hospital ward. Gu Huai was sent to prison for intentional injury. It's said that not long after he arrived, Gu Huai got into a conflict with another inmate. The inmate was a vicious criminal, and by the time the guards discovered it, Gu Huai had already been beaten to death. Shinjingza and I picked another sunny day to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. This time, we got our marriage certificate without a hitch. As we walked out, each of us was holding one of the little red booklets. The sunlight felt wonderfully warm on our skin. I smiled at him. Mr. Shin, please take care of me. Shinjingza curved his lips. Mrs. Shin, please take care of me. In this life, we will hold each other's hands and walk forward firmly together. The end. That's it for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. On the day the college entrance exam results were released, I received a call from Jiang Huai. Instead of confessing to me, he was now tightly embracing my rival, Meng Ruoshi. The surroundings were filled with classmates eager to watch the spectacle. See, I told you she'd come. I said I'd confess after the college entrance exams, and she actually believed me. Jiang Huai curled the corner of his mouth into a provocative smirk. Shin Qinghan, aren't you the top student in the school? How about we make a bet on who gets the higher score? I frowned and retorted instinctively, how could your score possibly be higher than mine? Jiang Huai let out a scornful laugh. To make it more exciting, let's reveal each subject's grade by drawing lots. I nodded in agreement. only to find out I had lost the first 3 subjects. When we got to the final subject, Jiang Huai, confident of victory, raised the stakes, betting 100% of Jiang Corporation's shares and 20 billion. I smirked inwardly. The fish finally took the bait. I stood in the center of the classroom, listening to the hushed whispers of my classmates. Back then, when Jiang Huai and Shen Qinghan were so close, I thought they would end up together after graduation. Turns out, Jiang Huai's heart belongs to Mei Ruoshi. Look at how confident Jiang Huai is. Could it be that Shen Qinghan really let her studies suffer for love? She should really take a good look at herself. With such ordinary looks, how could she ever catch the eye of young Master Jiang? The Jiang family is the richest in our province. After all, I don't want to hear any more of these discussions. I turned to Jiang Huai coldly and said, "You said you'd be with me after the college entrance exam. Was that all a lie?" Jiang Huai shrugged, neither confirming nor denying. "Then why did you push me to study day and night, tutoring me in my lessons?" The amusement in Jiang Huai's eyes deepened as he came closer and whispered to me, "So curious, you'll find out soon enough." His spoiled demeanor made me sick to my stomach. I turned away coldly and said, "There are only 5 minutes left before the results come out. Aren't we betting? Let's begin." Jiang Huai chuckled. "All right then, let's bet on the first subject, the comprehensive science. I'll bet 1 million." When everyone heard the figure 1 million, they all gasped in shock and began to exclaim, "A million is a bit much, isn't it? It would take my whole family 2 years to earn that much." And they just gambled it away in minutes. As expected of the richest man's son, he sure knows how to throw money around. Seeing this, I shook my head. Before I could speak, Jiang Huai sneered again. "What's the matter? Scared? As soon as the results are out, you can see all the subjects. That makes the bet so boring. Why don't we draw lots instead?" "Let's draw to decide which subject to bet on first and what the stakes are." I pointed at someone randomly. "For fairness, let's have Lin Yang reveal the results for us." Jiang Huai stepped forward, his face showing complete indifference. "Sure, I'd like to see what tricks you can pull." The first subject I drew was Chinese. Everyone stared unblinkingly at Lin Yang's expression, trying to find some clue. Lin Yang's expression changed, his gaze shifting between me and Jiang Huai in disbelief. Everyone was on tenterhooks, utterly unsettled by Lin Yang's demeanor. "Come on, tell us, what were their scores?" Lin Yang pursed his lips. "Jiang Huai, 139, and mocking smile curled at the corner of Jiang Huai's mouth. "Now I need to think about how to spend that million. Maybe I'll buy Ruoshi a necklace." Another student muttered, "Shen Qinghan's score hasn't been announced yet. What if it's higher than yours?" "It's too early to be planning how to spend the prize money." "Yeah, exactly, Lin Yang, hurry up and tell us, what did Shen Qinghan get?" Lin Yang gave me a complicated look, hesitating for a moment before finally speaking up. 89. As soon as the words left his mouth, the whole group burst into laughter. "An 89, that's not even a passing grade, ha ha ha, that's a full 50 points lower than Jiang Huai. Is this really the level of the top student in the whole school?" It seems she really neglected her studies in pursuit of climbing the social ladder. $1 million. Down the drain. Jiang Huai raises his chin, his gaze toward me full of provocation. "So, are you still up for the bet?" I remained calm, coldly leaving a single word, "Bet." Since I lost, it's not too much to ask for me to draw, right? Jiang Huai smirked, his smugness almost overflowing. "Whatever you say." The second subject I drew was math. Stake, 30 million. The curiosity of those around me was reignited. They stared intently at Lin Yang, and some even approached the computer to check the results early, only to be immediately blocked by Lin Yang. Jiang Huai sat back in his chair, swinging his leg. "So, are we still betting? 30 million is just pocket change to me. But for you, it must be half of your fortune, right?" Jiang Huai was right. The Shen family's liquid assets really are only 60 million. Compared to the Jiang family, they're not even fit to carry our shoes. Shen Qinghan, it's not too late for you to back out. Just admit publicly that you couldn't stand seeing Ruoshi and me together, so you deliberately seduced me. Then we can call off the bet. I looked up at him as if I'd just heard the most ridiculous joke in the world. "Call it off. You wish. Today, I'm going to make you lose everything you have." Seeing my confidence, Jiang Huai's lackey couldn't sit still any longer and stepped forward, arrogantly throwing out a stack of photos. The sharp edges of the photos grazed my face, leaving a tiny cut. "Huai originally wanted to save you some face, but since you're spouting nonsense, let everyone see how you seduced him. You probably didn't expect this, did you? You wanted to drag Huai down and ruin his grades, but instead, you ended up falling yourself. Serves you right. Don't you even know your own place? How dare you think you're worthy of our young master Jiang?" Jiang Huai also stood up from his chair, his eyes full of disdain. I'd like to see how you could possibly bankrupt me. The classmates around picked up the scattered photos from the ground, covering their mouths in surprise. Why is Shen Qinghan standing so close to Jiang Huai? It's like she's practically glued to him. Yeah, this is a school, not a place for her to hook a rich husband. It's unbearable to watch. If she hadn't graduated, the principal would have made her read a self-criticism in front of the whole school. I looked at those photos with a cold smile in my heart. These were all photos Jiang Huai had someone take on purpose, looking for the right angles, from start to finish. He was the one enthusiastically responding. I never did anything improper. I just focused on studying, waiting for him to confess to me after the college entrance exam. Who would have thought it would end up like this? I raised my voice impatiently. Aren't we betting on the scores right now? What's the point of saying all this? If you're scared, then tuck your tail and get lost. Jiang Huai clenched his fist until it creaked. He turned his head and looked coldly at Lin Yang. What's my score? 142 points. As soon as these words were spoken, some people started clapping excitedly. Jiang Huai has made such a huge improvement. It seems he's been hiding his true abilities all along, waiting for the college entrance exam to show his full potential. Unlike some people who are always the top of the school, yet managed to fail the Chinese exam and the college entrance exam, Jiang Huai was quite pleased with these words. He looked at me provocatively, then turned his gaze back to Lin Yang. Shen Qinghan, how many points did you score? 70. The laughter suddenly grew louder. Ha ha ha, not even as good as Chinese. You didn't even get half of what Jiang Huai scored. The stakes are 30 million this time. I wonder how she's going to come up with that kind of money. Jiang Huai looked at Meng Ruoshi affectionately at this moment. This 30 million is for you to buy a sports car. In your name. The crowd cheered again. Oh, Mr. Jiang has not only succeeded academically but also won the heart of a beauty. Unlike some people, who are about to lose everything, Jiang Huai looked at me with an air of condescension. There are 2 more subjects. Care to keep betting? Just when everyone thought I would refuse, I replied with a single, resolute word, bet. For the 3rd time, I drew the lot, and this time it was English stake, 10% of Jiang Corporation's shares. Jiang Huai frowned slightly, then quickly relaxed. What does that mean? If you win, you get 10% of the shares, but what if you lose? If I lose, it naturally means 10% of the Shen family's shares. Jiang Huai kept fidgeting with the hem of his clothes. While the Shen family's liquid assets might not be substantial, the Shen group itself does hold some promise. Since you're so eager to hand me this generous gift, I suppose I have no choice but to accept. He didn't even wait for me to speak, urgently pressing Lin Yang to reveal the results. Well, what's my score? Lin Yang's gaze kept shifting between me and Jiang Huai. After a while, he softly said, 90. Upon hearing this, Jiang Huai was slightly stunned. He subconsciously murmured, how could that be? How could Shen Qinghan only score 90 in English? I looked at him with a half-smile. What did you just say? My words instantly snapped Jiang Huai out of his reverie, and his expression returned to its previous calm. What about Shen Qinghan? What was her score? This time, Lin Yang didn't give the answer directly. Instead, he held up a finger, forming the number 1. The people around exchanged bewildered glances, unsure who was the first to speak up. Looks like Jiang Huai is going to lose this time. Shen Qinghan is, after all, the top student in the whole school, and English is her forte. She must have scored over 100. Yeah, 10% of the Jiang group's shares. Just how much money is that? At least 10 billion. Shen Qinghan has really hit the jackpot now. Those 30 million from before were just pocket change. Everyone was buzzing with excitement, but Jiang Huai remained perfectly calm, a faint, inscrutable smile playing on his lips. Isn't it a bit early to be discussing the Jiang family's shares? Lin Yang, what score did Shen Qinghan actually get? 19 points. The room fell deathly silent for an instant, before erupting into a deafening uproar of laughter and chatter. 19 points. I could get more than 19 points just by stepping on my answer sheet. I can't figure out how Shen Qinghan got the title of the top student in the school. Could it really be through cheating? Some voices are questioning this. Something feels off. Logically, Shen Qinghan should know how they performed. Why would they keep accepting bets? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone fell silent once again, their faces filled with confusion. Meng Ruoshi raised her chin proudly and looked at me. Shen Qinghan, how do you feel now? You didn't catch your golden son-in-law. You have no money, and now even the family business your parents worked so hard for has been gambled away by you. If I were you, I wouldn't even have the face to go out. I might as well hang myself from a tree. I snorted coldly, the smile not reaching my eyes. How did I manage to gamble away my entire fortune? It's only 10%. Jiang Yihui looked at me like a madman, his face flickering with greed. Now that there's only the last subject left, I don't think we need to draw lots. Let's bet everything we've got. If I lose, 50% of Jiang Group's shares will be yours. If you lose, give me 50% of Shen Group's shares. The people present began to persuade. It's just a score. It's not worth going this far. Exactly. That's enough. Everyone swallowed hard, their eyes fixed on my reaction. I shook my head. This bet is too small. Jiang Yihui's pupils instantly constricted. Lost in thought, I walked to his opposite side, standing tall and straight. I'm not just betting on the comprehensive science score, but also that my total score will surpass yours. The wager, 100% of the Jiang Group's shares. As soon as the words left my mouth, a wave of gasps erupted around me. Could Shen Qinghan be so devastated that she's gone crazy? 100% of the shares. How can she possibly win in this situation? Jiang Yihan already has a total score of 371, while Shen Qinghan only has 178. How could she possibly surpass Jiang Yihan's total score? Jiang Yihan impatiently waved his hand. Just do as you said. Let's get started quickly. I'm in a hurry to buy Ruwashi a luxury car. I smiled slightly and took out paper, pen, and an inkpad from behind me. Why the rush? Only when we sign and seal it will it be valid. Otherwise, what if you back out later? Jiang Yihui smirked. Since you're so eager to hand over the Shen family, I'll oblige you. After swiftly signing and pressing our seals, Jiang Yihui whispered softly into my ear. Didn't you just want to know why I'm tutoring you? It's because I bound the score-swapping system. And all your points will be mine. I was going to tell you later. But I can't wait to see your shocked expression. Surprised, aren't you? All your hard work over the past 3 years has been for my benefit. I'll take your grades. If you ever find yourself in dire straits, I might consider letting you work as a cleaner at the Jiang Group. Seeing Jiang Yihui so close to me, Meng Ruwashi yanked him to the side and said, Yihui, why are you standing so close to her? Don't tell me you're feeling soft and unwilling to continue the bet. Jiang Yihui let out a loud laugh. No way. The scores were about to be announced, and everyone stared nervously at Lin Yang's face. Lin Yang, tell us, who's going to win? Lin Yang's gaze swept quickly between me and Jiang Yihui. Remaining silent, everyone's curiosity was further piqued. Lin Yang, we're all classmates here. What are you keeping us in suspense for? We're dying to know. Exactly, just tell us already. In the midst of the conversation, 2 familiar figures appeared at the door. I turned to look, furrowing my brow and calling out, Dad, Mom. Meng Ruwashi brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. After all, it's such a big deal with the results coming out, and the stakes are so high. I hope you don't mind that I called your parents over. The traces of time were already etched on my parents' faces. When I thought they might blame me, they both stepped forward and held my hands. Qinghan, don't be afraid. Your parents know you must have your reasons for doing this, even if you underperformed in the college entrance exam, even if you gambled away the entire Shen family. It's okay, your parents are still young and can start over with you. Tears welled up in my eyes, and I struggled to hold my head high to keep them from falling. Jiang Yihui clapped his hands from the side. What a touching scene of mother and daughter. I almost got emotional myself, suppressing my emotions. I turned around and stared impassively at Jiang Yihui. I'm raising the stakes. I want not only all the shares of the Jiang Group, but also 2 billion in cash. I had done my research in advance. 2 billion represents the entirety of the Jiang family's liquid assets. Jiang Yihui's eyes instantly turned icy. And what if you lose? To my knowledge, the Shen family doesn't have 2 billion. If I lose, it's the same. Even if I have to borrow it, I will get 2 billion for you. Jiang Yihui's smile grew even brighter. All right, let's do it your way. With that, the classmates' attention shifted back to Lin Yang. Lin Yang, hurry up and announce the results. Lin Yang kept fidgeting with his fingers, and only after half a minute did he finally speak. You'd better come and see for yourselves. As soon as the words were spoken, everyone ran towards the computer. When they saw the score on the screen, they all exclaimed in shock. 0. How could it be 0? Jiang Yihui's brow furrowed deeply at the mention of 0 points. He muttered softly, how could it be 0 points? I clearly remember answering the exam and doing quite well. In just a few seconds, he returned to his usual composure. Shen Qinghan, I overestimated you. To think you could score 0 points, truly remarkable. You might just be the first in our school's history to achieve that. As his words fell, there were no jeers or discussions as he had expected. Everyone looked at him with complicated expressions, their thoughts unclear. Seeing everyone's reaction, Jiang Yihui's face darkened. Why are you looking at me like that? Shen Qinghan proposed the bet herself, and we both signed and pressed our fingerprints. Don't think that just because we're classmates, I'll let her off. A bet is a bet, and she has to honor it. Jiang Yihuai's lackey kept shooting him meaningful looks, but unfortunately, he didn't catch on. Finally, someone couldn't hold back any longer. Jiang Yihuai, come and see for yourself. The one who scored a 0 on the exam is you. What? A flicker of disbelief flashed in Jiang Yihuai's eyes. He pushed through the crowd and strode over to the computer. After checking it over and over, he still couldn't accept the fact that he had scored 0. Impossible. I did so well in all my other subjects. How could I possibly get a 0 in the science composite? What about Shen Qinghan's? I want to see what Shen Qinghan scored. His face visibly paled as he took in my scores. 201. How could that be? How could that be? Some enthusiastic classmates had already started calculating Jiang Yihuai's scores. Chinese 139, Math 142, English 90, Science 0. Jiang Yihuai total 371, Chinese 89, Math 70, English 19, Science 201, Shen Qinghan total 379, Shen Qinghan won. Shen Qinghan won this bet. Life is full of surprises, isn't it? Although Shen Qinghan didn't get into university or marry into a wealthy family, now she herself is the wealthy family. Forget about shares, she has 2 billion in cash alone. I stared at Jiang Yihuai's pale face and slowly moved closer. Did you think I didn't know your intentions for getting close to me? Did you think I didn't know about your point-swapping system, playing the long game to catch the big fish? You still have a lot to learn. I watched him with a cold stare as his hand, hidden behind his back, began to tremble. He stammered out, You did it on purpose. You deliberately left the science section blank. That's why I got a 0. That evening, I went to the study room to bring him dinner, wanting to thank him for looking out for me all this time. To my surprise, I heard him talking inside, but the study room was clearly empty except for him. Don't worry, I'm all set. She's definitely going to score over 720. When that happens, the top scorer will be me. Heaven itself is on my side, letting me bind with this score-swapping system. She's still foolishly thinking I'll confess to her after the Gaokao. She should take a look at herself. Does she even deserve it? Only Ruashi is worthy of being the Jiang family's daughter-in-law. My grip tightened on the lunchbox handle. Since he's shown no mercy, he can't blame me for what comes next. A few minutes later, Jiang Yihuai finally realized what was going on. But what benefit do you get from doing this? You know, I deliberately failed the exam. If I hadn't set up this bet, you wouldn't have gained anything. Now neither of us got into college. Are you satisfied? I watched Jiang Yihuai jumping around like a clown, and I felt immensely pleased. I whispered into his ear, because I've already been guaranteed admission. These words struck Jiang Yihuai like a thunderbolt, and he staggered a few steps before barely managing to steady himself. Impossible, you must be lying to me. If you were guaranteed admission, how could I not know? I let out a cold laugh. He really was pitifully naive. Since I already know you're linked to the grade-swapping system, why on earth would I tell you about my guaranteed admission, even though I had spelled it out that clearly? Jiang Yihuai still refused to believe it. He kept shaking his head. No way, it's impossible. I don't believe you left the science section blank. There must be a system error. I'm going to find the teacher to have my grades rechecked. Before Jiang Yihuai could even take a step with his left foot, the homeroom teacher walked in. Seeing my parents there, she looked surprised. Mr. and Mrs. Qinghan, you're here too. Qinghan said she wanted to surprise you. I guess she just couldn't keep it a secret. As she spoke, she handed the early admission letter to my parents. Qinghan has been accepted into Tsinghua University. What an achievement. She's really made our class proud. My parents turned to me in shock. Qinghan, you. I gently patted their hands. I got the offer a while ago. I was planning to tell you tonight, but it's fine that you know now. Let's go out and celebrate properly this evening. The atmosphere was peaceful, but Jiang Yihuai's expression was the only sour note. He rushed up to the homeroom teacher. Sir/ma'am, I think there's a mistake with my score. I demand a re-evaluation. The teacher looked at him, puzzled. Which subject score do you want reviewed? Science. 2 hours later, the homeroom teacher finally returned to the class. Jiang Yihuai, there's no issue with your score. You really did get a 0. Even if you can't get into a top university, there's no way you couldn't get into an ordinary one. How could you hand in a blank paper for the comprehensive science exam? You handed in a blank paper. And now you're saying there's a problem with your score. I had to go ask about it, and now I've lost all face. Jiang Yihuai's legs gave out, and he fainted straight away. The medical staff in the clinic quickly arrived and managed to wake him up after some emergency treatment. As soon as Jiang Yihuai opened his eyes, he eagerly grabbed the agreement on the table and tore it to shreds. The bet we made earlier doesn't count. Now we're even. You got into a good university, and I failed the exam. Consider this my compensation to you. I couldn't help but laugh at Jiang Yihuai's drenched, bedraggled appearance. I already took photos of the original for record keeping, let alone the fact that you tore up a copy. What? Jiang Yihuai hurriedly picked up the fragments from the ground, and after confirming they were indeed copies, his gaze at me was as fierce as if he wanted to devour me. He was breathing heavily, his chest rising and falling incessantly. We're all classmates, why make it this way? I laughed out loud. That's not what you said earlier. You said you wouldn't let me off, and that you'd accept the consequences of the bet. Since that's the case, I'll have to follow your wishes. Jiang Yihuai looked around and finally spotted Meng Ruashi standing in the corner. He seemed to grasp the last lifeline. Ruashi, you have to help me. If my dad finds out about this, he'll kill me. Now that I didn't get into college and lost all my money, you absolutely must help me. Seeing Jiang Yihuai's miserable state, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. If it weren't for him deliberately scoring low to set me up, he wouldn't be in this mess. With his abilities, getting into an ordinary university would have been no problem. In the end, he harmed himself. Meng Ruashi covered her nose and mouth with disdain, taking a step back. Me? How can I help you? All you need to do is agree to marry me. If you do, I won't end up with nothing, and my dad won't do anything to me because of the Meng family's reputation. We'll have a chance to rise again. Meng Ruashi felt as if she had heard the biggest joke in the world. Jiang Yihuai, am I hearing this right? You have nothing now. You're no longer the high and mighty young master of the Jiang family. What on earth makes you think I'd still be with you? Besides, you didn't get into university, but I did. Are you seriously expecting me to drop out and marry you? Seeing Meng Ruashi turn on him so quickly, Jiang Yihuai's temper flared up instantly. Meng Ruashi, you weren't like this before. Even if the Meng family has some influence, it's nothing compared to our Jiang family. I was doing you a favor by offering to marry you, and you really think you're something special. Meng Ruashi's lips curved into a strange smile. Jiang Yihuai, I think you've really been driven mad by anger. Still not clear about your own status. The Jiang family's shares have all been given to the Shin family, and now you're no longer the young master of the Jiang family, just a stray dog. Watching them tear into each other like dogs, I felt great seeing Meng Ruashi being so merciless. Jiang Yihuai suddenly stood up. But I only ended up like this because of you. If it weren't for your constant dislike of Shin Qinghan, why would I have gone to such lengths to get close to Shin Qinghan to help you take revenge? Meng Ruashi let out a cold snort, her eyes filled with undisguised contempt. But did you actually succeed in helping me get revenge? Not only did she get all the Jiang family's shares, but she was also directly admitted to Tsinghua or Peking University. You want credit without having accomplished anything. How laughable. With that, Meng Ruashi turned and left the classroom without a backward glance, not sparing Jiang Yihuai another look. Only after his last hope had walked away did Jiang Yihuai finally remember me. He came to me, gripping my sleeve tightly. Qinghan, you wouldn't be as heartless as her, would you? I was just blinded by her. That's why I treated you like this. Please give me another chance. I'll give you all 20 billion. But the Jiang family's shares really can't be done. Tu shi duani pingan qing shi pianyang xian shindao. Not only that, but I will also marry you. From now on, you'll be the young mistress of the Jiang family, and I will wholeheartedly treat you, not letting you suffer the slightest bit of grievance. I brushed Jiang Yihuai's hand away with disgust. If I were the one who lost the bet, would you give me a chance like this, Jiang? Yihuai nodded eagerly. I would, and I would show you leniency too. Those words earlier were just for show. I could never really watch you lose everything. We've studied together for so long. I'm not heartless. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I know exactly what kind of person he is. If you weren't heartless, you wouldn't have scored a 19 on the English exam. You did it on purpose, didn't you? If you weren't heartless, you wouldn't have known to place such a huge bet when I was guaranteed to lose. Jiang Yihuai, do you really think everyone is as much of a fool as you are? Jiang Yihuai's face alternated between green and white. Incredibly dramatic. Besides, do you really think I care about being some Jiang family young mistress? I got into the best university in the country and have the brightest future ahead of me. Why do you think marrying you would be so appealing to me? Moreover, Jiang's shares are already ours, the Shin family's. I can be the young lady of the Shin family, not some Jiang's wife. Take control of your own destiny. Don't rely on others. The moment the words fell, thunderous applause erupted around. Well said, Qinghan. We all need to take control of our own destiny. We don't want to live by relying on others. That's right. We all support Qinghan. Realizing that even the classmate who had just made malicious assumptions about me was now sincerely cheering for me, I understood that nothing in this world is eternal. The hard truth Is that only by making yourself strong can you truly succeed? I gave Jiang Yihui a brilliant smile. There's a surprise waiting for you. The moment the words were spoken, Jiang Yihui's parents arrived on the scene. You little beast, I'll kill you today. I didn't listen to the noise behind me any longer, and resolutely led my parents away from that place. We had just gotten home, and before I could even have a proper talk with my parents, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Jiang Yihui was standing there, bruised and battered. His parents stood beside him, their faces full of apology. Qinghan's mother, may we come in to talk? My mother glanced at me, a whirlwind of complicated emotions flashing in her eyes. I knew she must be thinking about everything I had just gone through at school. No, you may not. Zhang's parents had never been treated this way before. Just as Zhang's father was about to lose his temper, his wife stopped him. She smiled obsequiously. It's okay, if it's inconvenient, we can talk at the door just the same. Iwa has been spoiled by us since he was a child. He doesn't know how to handle things with moderation. His father has already reprimanded him. Look, we all live in the same city, and we occasionally do business with each other. Why make things so awkward? We are willing to pay 5 billion to resolve this matter and have Jiang Yihui apologize to Qinghan in front of the entire school. Would that be acceptable? No, Mom refused without hesitation. Since the bet is 2 billion and 100% of Jiang Group's shares, we'll stick to the agreement. Even if you offered me 10 billion, I wouldn't care. Mom's words are indeed accurate. The Jiang family's rise to the position of the richest is due to the growing strength of Jiang Group. As long as the Jiang Group exists, they could bounce back in a few years, whether it's a loss of 10 billion or even 100 billion, and once the Jiang Group regains its strength, they will undoubtedly come after the Shen family. No matter how you look at it, this is a bad deal. Seeing his wife's firm refusal, Mr. Jiang began to grow anxious. Mrs. Shen, you need to think this through. The Shen family only put down roots in this city a decade ago. Your foundation simply can't compare to the Jiang family's. If you're willing to make a concession and do the Jiang family this favor, I will certainly look out for the Shen family in business dealings from now on. I think Qinghan is a fine young woman. If our two families were to be joined by marriage, it would be even more. Mr. Zhang's words were cut off by my mother. Qinghan is still young. She has a much broader future ahead of her. Why should I let her get married? Even if she were to get married after completing her studies, it should be to a boy with both a good family background and character. Your son is not worthy. Zhang's father was completely enraged at this point. He raised his hand to strike, but my father immediately stepped in front of my mother to shield her. Then the sound of police sirens rang out. Mr. Jiang, you are accused of bribery and have illegal constructions in multiple locations. Please come with us. Jiang Yihui was completely shocked by this turn of events, watching helplessly as his parents were taken away by the police. Where are you taking my parents? You can't take them away. Unfortunately, no one paid any attention. The tranquility returned to the doorstep after the police left. I thought Jiang Yihui would leave as well, seeking help from relatives and friends to rescue his parents. To my surprise, he suddenly knelt down in front of me. Qinghan, I only have you now. You can't abandon me too. His mother cut him off with a frown. Watch your tone. You're both barely adults. Qinghan is just a classmate to you, nothing more. Don't presume a closer relationship. Auntie, you're right. We are adults now, and we can decide for ourselves about relationships. Qinghan loves me, and I love her. We're just. Before he could finish, his mother interrupted him, her brow furrowed. Enough. What do you know about love at your age? If you keep harassing her, I'll call the police. Calling the police didn't deter Jiang Yihui. Instead, he pulled a stack of photos from his coat. He dropped his pitiful act and revealed his true colors. In that case, I won't hold back. Take a good look at these photos. If they were to get out, do you think your daughter's reputation would survive? When they saw the photos clearly, the parents' faces instantly froze. Jiang Yihui, where on earth did you learn all this at such a young age? I refused to believe Qinghan would do something like this. I took a step forward and saw the photos clearly. They were all taken by Jiang Yihui sneaking up on me during class. There were even intimate poses he arranged for us while I was napping. If these photos were to spread, how would outsiders judge Shen Qinghan? I suggest you think carefully about that. Mom clearly hesitated. She knew how important reputation was for a newly adult girl, and I knew it too. I gently patted her shoulder to offer comfort. What will you do if I don't accept you? I guarantee that these photos will be in every student's inbox by tomorrow. I nodded. Go ahead. Then I shut the door, ignoring Jiang Yihui's shouts from outside. True to his word, the photos arrived in my mailbox the very next day. That Jiang Yihui really has no patience. I got up and went to school, where people were already pointing and whispering about me. I heard that Shen Qinghan, the one who got the early admission to Tsinghua or Peking University. She's also the girl in the photos that were sent to everyone's inbox yesterday. Tell me, with someone like her who's only interested in climbing the social ladder, do you really think there was no foul play involved in her admission? I smiled faintly, paying no mind to their gossip. Just as I reached the academic building, I spotted Jiang Yihui. How does it feel to be the subject of gossip? If you had listened earlier, you wouldn't be in this mess. If you beg me now, I might reconsider. I pushed him away. You're in the way. Seeing that I ignored the rumors, he continued to chatter behind me. Shen Qinghan, why are you so stubborn? Where have I wronged you by being with me? Do you have to make things so ugly for everyone before you're satisfied? All the noisy chatter came to an abrupt halt the moment Jiang Yihui saw me enter the surveillance room. He nervously swallowed. What are you doing in the surveillance room? By now, the homeroom teacher was already waiting in the surveillance room. Seeing both me and Jiang Yihui arrive together, she shot him a fierce glare. Qinghan, I've already retrieved the surveillance footage. It proves that Jiang Yihui was the one who actively followed you around and that he was the one who set up those actions to frame you while you were asleep. The school is taking this matter very seriously. A formal statement has already been drafted and will be published on the official account tomorrow. At those words, Jiang Yihui was completely dumbfounded. How is that possible? The classroom surveillance camera has been broken for a year. There's no way they could retrieve any footage. I looked at him with amusement. Don't tell me you didn't even know the security room's cameras were fixed. You're making a scene without knowing the facts. Jiang Yihui had completely lost the ability to think at that moment. After all, his initial plan was only to tarnish my reputation within the school, but once the school posted it on their official account, the news would spread far beyond the campus. 3 days later, when I returned to school for the graduation ceremony, I once again overheard the whispers around me. This time, however, the subject of their gossip had shifted from me to Jiang Yihui. Did you hear? It wasn't Shen Qinghan trying to climb the social ladder, it was Jiang Yihui, who was always the one pursuing her, and he even used despicable means to take those photos, trying to ruin her reputation. And Jiang Yihui's parents were sentenced to 8 years in prison for bribery on a massive scale. TSK. I raised an eyebrow. 8 years. That was a bit unexpected. Many classmates greeted me as soon as they saw me. Qinghan, you look even more beautiful lately. Don't forget us old classmates once you graduate from Tsinghua or Peking University, even without getting into those top schools, the assets from taking over the Jiang group would set her up for life. She's a proper heiress. I gave a light smile and said nothing. 2 months later, I finally arrived at my dream university, ready to begin my new life as a student. A year later, during the summer vacation, I heard news about Jiang Yihui again from a close friend. He repeated a year, but because of the despicable things he had done, his classmates all disliked him and ostracized him everywhere. The huge gap in status was hard for him to accept. Once he was a beloved young master admired by thousands, now he was despised by all. After the college entrance exam, he performed poorly again, scoring only 300 points. With no other choice, he had to take odd jobs, looking disheveled every day, and would hide like a rat in the gutter whenever he saw someone he knew. As for Mengruashi, half a year after I started university, the Meng family went bankrupt due to a broken cash flow. The once arrogant and domineering Mengruashi had instantly changed, and when she saw me, her eyes were filled with hatred. But I don't care. I also know full well that my parents are behind all this. Anyone who has bullied me will not get off easy, and I will also be stepping into a brighter future. Story 2. When my husband's childhood sweetheart boarded the ship I was steering, she was swept into the sea by a wave. I had her rescued in time, but my husband believed it was all a self-orchestrated act on my part. You knew she was afraid of water, yet you deliberately steered into the reef. How vicious. To avenge his childhood sweetheart's cold, he had me hung out on the deck to bake in the sun, forbidding anyone to bring me food or water. Sharks lurked beneath the surface, waiting to strike. I pleaded for mercy, apologizing and warning him of the danger, especially given my pregnancy, but he just scoffed. What danger could possibly be in these waters? The only real threat here is a captain like you, who'd harm an innocent out of sheer jealousy. You're lucky I'm not throwing you overboard. Now stay put and bake in the sun for 2 days. With that, he put his arm around his childhood sweetheart and led her into the cabin to rest. A shark breached the surface and tore my legs off in one savage bite. Blood soaked the deck, and my agonized screams were drowned out by the music and revelry from the cabin. It wasn't until nightfall that my husband deigned to show a shred of mercy. Go ask if she's learned her lesson, he commanded, then make her crawl here and tell me herself. But I was already dead. How could I possibly go before him? Fu Xingxian watched with a cold gaze as the crewman shouted the question out to the open sea. demanding to know if I had repented. No one answered for a long time. The crew looked hesitant. Could she have fainted? It's a scorching day, and the lady might have heatstroke. All my blood had dried up, and even my flesh and bones were torn apart by sharks leaping out of the water. Heatstroke. Ling Shuang is a former Special Forces soldier. Her physique is excellent. She's just ignoring me on purpose. Fu Xingxian snorted coldly. Since you don't want to talk to me, then keep hanging there. With such a big temperature difference between day and night, I don't believe she can endure the sun during the day and the cold sea at night. He was determined to make me suffer, and even the crew members beside him were terrified. President, if we go further, there might be sharks. It would be bad if Madam gets bitten. Hearing the crew's words, a flicker of hesitation flashed through Fu Xingxuan's eyes. Moments later, he saw the image on the display screen. There's a small reef about 20 meters ahead. Speed up and drive over it to splash her with waves. Once she's soaked, we'll let her down. The crew member had no choice but to timidly inform the first mate. Bang! Although the hull was only jolted slightly by the impact, a great deal of seawater was churned into massive waves that crashed onto the deck. The loud, slapping sound of the spray carried directly into the cabin, making everyone inside wince at the imagined sting. Fu Xingxuan's brow furrowed slightly, his expression darkening. Zhou Qianqian cried out in her sleep, and Fu Xingxian immediately rushed over anxiously to check on her. What's wrong? Zhou Qianqian looked around in utter panic. Only when she saw Fu Xingxian did she, with red-rimmed eyes, hide in his arms. I dreamed I fell into the water again, and a shark was chasing me. It was so scary. Fu Xingxian patted Zhou Qianqian's back with a pained heart, soothing her gently. He had never shown this kind of tenderness in front of me before. Zhou Qianqian basked in Fu Xingxuan's embrace for a long while before finally looking up at him, her face flushed. What if Sister Ling Shuang sees us like this? If she starts overthinking things and argues with you again, I'll feel absolutely terrible. Please don't get angry with her because of me. Bye. The way, where did Sister Ling Shuang go? I've already let go of the fact that she caused me to fall into the water yesterday. Just have her say she's sorry to me, and that'll be enough. Say she's sorry to you. I'm already stone cold dead and turned into a ghost. How could I possibly apologize to her? Besides, I wasn't even wrong in the first place, all because of her baseless accusation. I was strung up alive on the deck and left to bake in the sun for an entire day to evade the shark that kept trying to leap out of the water and bite me. I had to keep swinging my body from side to side until I was utterly exhausted. That's when the lurking shark finally surged from the water and clamped its jaws firmly around my legs. Its razor-sharp teeth tore through flesh and bone. I screamed for help, but no one heard a thing. The shark thrashed its tail fin with all its might to snap my bones, and I clearly felt the pain of them shattering and my flesh being torn apart. Blood gushed out, attracting more sharks. They kept leaping out of the water, feasting on my flesh. The pain was so intense that I passed out, only to be awakened by a new shark bite, feeling agony until the very end. A long, bloody trail stretched across the sea, even staining the deck crimson. I was curious to see how Fu Xingxian would react when he saw it. I even wanted to let out a blood-curdling scream to scare them to death, but I could only drift beside them like a ghost, forced to watch as Fu Xingxian tenderly stroked Zhou Qianqian's head with heartbreaking affection. How can you be so forgiving? She deliberately tried to kill you, yet you just let it go so easily. What if she tries to hurt you again in the future? She clearly knew you're afraid of water and deliberately tricked you to the deck, intending for you to be swept into the sea by the waves. Zhou Cece lowered her head fully. But she is, after all, your wife, as your sister. It's my duty to tolerate her improper behavior. Fu Xingxuan's eyes suddenly flashed with anger. Don't mention her to me. Do you know what this vile woman said? She claimed she's pregnant. Haha, I haven't touched her in months. Where on earth did she get pregnant? She's clearly been cheating on me. Zhou Qianqian looked at him with pity. I never imagined she was that kind of woman. You've really been through too much. Fu Xingxuan's eyes burned with fury. So, we absolutely cannot forgive this woman easily. We must make her understand the price of betrayal. Even as a ghost, I couldn't help but clutch my chest, feeling as if an invisible hand were squeezing my heart. It's clearly him flirting with Zhou Cece, yet now he suspects me of cheating. It's utterly absurd and beyond reason. Half of my body is still hanging on the deck, and if you look closely, you can see the slightly protruding uterus exposed, obviously several months along. As soon as I was hoisted up, I spotted several sharks swimming in the unfathomable depths of the sea, desperate to survive. I humbly apologized and begged Fu Xingxian for mercy, but he was determined to avenge Zhou Cece. Now you realize you're wrong. Too late. You have to suffer more than Cece for me to forgive you. I struggled desperately, biting down on the rope with my teeth, my mouth full of blood. Only a little more and I could have bitten through the rope and been saved, but Fu Xingxian casually said, if the rope breaks, we'll switch to chains. I want to see how sharp your teeth are, he ordered. The first mate to change course, steering directly into rough seas, completely disregarding the fact that I was already on the verge of collapse from sun exposure as the torrential rain poured down with lightning and thunder. I closed my eyes forever as the shark leaped out of the water once more. The boat swayed, and Fu Xingxian quietly said, that's enough, drop her off ahead, as he watched Zhou Cici's peaceful sleeping face. The waters ahead are dangerous, so let her come and kneel to. Apologize to Cici, then get back to steering the boat. If she doesn't show the right attitude, keep her hanging. The crew member meekly responded. The ship swayed again, and Zhou Cici's brow furrowed slightly. Fu Xingxian immediately reached out to smooth it, his heart aching. Silly girl, you can sleep soundly even after nearly being killed. I don't know whether to call you naive or kind. Luckily, I'm by your side, otherwise, who knows how much you'd be taken advantage of. He gazed at Zhou Qianqian with utter adoration, his eyes brimming with tenderness, completely oblivious to the faint, triumphant smile playing at the corner of her lips. The celebrated business tycoon, praised by all, was nothing but a fool being led around by the nose by a woman hovering in midair. I watched with cold detachment as my husband in name only endured the numbness in his arm, all to ensure Zhou Qianqian slept soundly. What a pair of star-crossed lovers these two scumbags are. Anyone who didn't know better would think I was the homewrecker trying to sabotage their picture-perfect romance. But I am the one who is completely innocent. Back then, Zhou Qianqian went abroad to pursue her dreams, in a drunken state, Fu Xingxian and I ended up having a one-night stand. I knew nothing about his past with Zhou Qianqian and had no intention of clinging to him. I simply said we should pretend it never happened. Yet, Fu Xingxian became relentless in his pursuit to marry me, even resorting to pressuring my parents' company to get his way. Out of desperation, I had to marry him, but in Fu Xingxuan's eyes, it became a game of cat and mouse. Yet, he didn't show it. Instead, he doted on me endlessly, even promising to fetch the stars and moon if I wished. The happy memories came to an abrupt end when Zhou Cici returned from abroad. I realized Zhou Cici and I looked 7 parts alike, and suddenly understood why Fu Xingxian had married me. Back then, I was still deeply in love with Fu Xingxian, stubbornly wanting to hear him say he didn't love me with my own ears. But Fu Xingxian would always say he loved me while doing things that hurt me. This time on the sea trip, I had clearly expressed that the weather was unfavorable and it was not suitable to go out to sea, but with just a sentence from Zhou Qianqian about wanting to see the polar night in the South China Sea, Fu Xingxian organized the trip without a second thought. To ensure his safety, I had no choice but to go on the boat with him. My nightmare began to unfold as well. After boarding the ship, Zhou Cici repeatedly provoked me in a secluded corner, even claiming that I was the third party. But in front of Fu Xingxian, she turned into a delicate and innocent little flower. I thought Fu Xingxian wouldn't believe her, but the moment Zhou Cici fell into the water, reality gave me a resounding slap. Fu Xingxian even forgot he couldn't swim and jumped straight into the sea. After Zhou Cici was rescued, her groundless accusation had Fu Xingxian immediately order someone to pin me to the ground. I thought you were just being jealous and acting out, but I never expected you to be so malicious. This is a matter of life and death. Ignoring my position as captain, Fu Xingxian stubbornly had me tied up and gave full control of the helm to the inexperienced deputy captain, which was incredibly reckless. I told him this stretch of sea was uncharted territory, and the first mate lacked the experience to lead us back safely. But Fu Xingxian sneered mockingly, who do you think you are? The world won't stop turning without you. The first mate is a master's graduate who studied abroad and has done extensive research on these waters. You're just an amateur maritime commando. How could you possibly compare? The crew obeyed his orders. I was bound tightly, hands and feet. Fu Xingxian, there will be thunderstorms and lightning tonight. I'll die, and I'm carrying your child. You can't do this. Zhou Cici covered her eyes in fear, as if she couldn't bear to look. Fu Xingxian immediately pulled her head into his chest and said, don't be afraid, this is just someone trying to escape punishment, capable of making up anything. Thunderstorms, lightning, even the earth exploding wouldn't kill her. Moreover, I haven't touched you in months. Who knows whose bastard is in your belly? With that, he ignored my cries and had me hung up directly. Recalling the agony of my death, I stared coldly at the two people before me. Zhou Qianqian had slowly come to. Their eyes met, and in an instant, sparks flew and a charged, intimate tension filled the air. Fu Xingxian couldn't help himself. He cupped the back of Zhou Qianqian's head and kissed her. Zhou Qianqian put on a show of pushing him away a few times, then gasped in a breathy, coquettish voice, don't, brother Fu, you have a wife. We shouldn't be doing this. Fu Xingxian panted heavily. Why can't it be like this? She dared to get pregnant with someone else's child behind my back, so it's not too much for me to do. Something with you, right? Zhou Cixi mumbled no but didn't resist. I just laughed coldly. Can't it be like this? What does it mean that she put her hand on Fu Xingxuan's belt? What a hypocrite, playing the saint while acting like a whore. They were locked in a passionate kiss when the closed door was suddenly pounded with thunderous force. Bang, bang, bang. Fu Xingxian stopped impatiently and roared. What is it? The sailor stammered in reply. Madam is dead. Fu Xingxuan's lust vanished instantly, replaced by utter bewilderment. Dead? What do you mean? How is that possible? The sailor's voice trembled. She's not breathing. Out there in the raging storm, her body is already cold. Fu Xingxian froze, seemingly shocked, but his expression quickly hardened into something even more ruthless. There's no way Ling Shuang is dead. She's a former special forces operative. She's definitely faking it. Or in some kind of shock. Just throw some cold water on her to snap her out of it, or give her a shot of adrenaline. Once she's back to normal, tell her to get her ass over here and apologize. The crew member standing outside the door looked shocked, stammering as he struggled to find the right words. But, ma'am, what but? Go now. Or do you want to be strung up next? The sailor, terrified, nodded frantically and scurried away. Zhou Qianqian frowned, putting on a show of concern. Brother Fu, if something really happens to Sister Ling Shuang, I'd feel so guilty. Maybe we should just let her go. Fu Xingxian shook his head dismissively. Ling Shuang is a loose woman. She's already charmed a sailor she barely knows into pleading for her. Don't waste your worry on her. Who knows how many men are secretly supporting her. Zhou Qianqian suddenly laughed. You're right, she said. Sister Ling Shuang has always been a real heartthrob. For all we know, the first mate and the crew might have already let her down on the sly. Fu Xingxuan's face twisted with disgust. What heartthrob? She's nothing but a shameless slut. Even as a ghost, I was trembling with rage just moments ago. I'd even been fantasizing about whether this man would weep in bitter regret upon learning of my death, but his actions were a real slap in the face. It's absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe I still held out hope for a man like that. The man I loved for all those years turned out to be a heartless, ungrateful bastard. Endless hatred spreads, and the pain of being bitten to death crawls over my entire body. Again outside, the wind howls, and the sounds of thunder and lightning fill the air. Zhou Cixi, frightened, hides in Fu Xingxuan's embrace. Oh my, is a storm coming? Fu Xingxian, with Zhou Cixi's slender waist in his arm, frowns and shouts. Didn't they say there wouldn't be extreme weather these days? Why is it suddenly thundering? The crew member from the next cabin immediately replied. The weather at sea is unpredictable, and visibility is very low now. It could be dangerous, so we need the captain who knows this area to take the helm. The captain he mentioned is me. But I'm already dead. Zhou Cixi, who was afraid of death, finally spoke with genuine emotion. Hurry and let Sister Ling Shuang take the helm. Brother Fu, you're afraid of water, and I don't want you to encounter any danger. Fu Xingxuan's eyes flickered with gratitude, but then he coldly ordered the crew, immediately get that woman to take the helm. The crew hesitated, unsure how to speak, and Fu Xingxian immediately frowned. Can't I command you anymore, or is that bitch deliberately disobeying, trying to manipulate me with this? Before the crew could respond, Fu Xingxian strode forward directly, heading straight to the deck. The moment he kicked open the door, he immediately covered his nose. What the hell are you doing? Why is there such a strong smell of blood? Did you kill fish? Didn't I say no killing at sea? Just how big of a fish did you people catch? The crew members hung their heads, not daring to answer. With trembling hands, they picked up an adrenaline shot and jabbed it into me. Fu Xingxian kicked the crewman aside impatiently. Have you lost your tongues? The next second, his jaw dropped. He stumbled backward in disbelief until his back hit the wall, then finally spoke in a trembling voice. What is this? A mangled, bloody mass lay on the floor, surrounded by dozens of empty adrenaline syringes. Though it was vaguely discernible as a woman missing her lower half, her features in life were unrecognizable. Her face was deathly pale, devoid of color. Her eyeballs, strained from prolonged suspension, bulged grotesquely as if ready to burst from their sockets. Her dilated pupils seemed to lock with Fu Xingxuan's gaze. The distinctive birthmark on her forehead drained the color from his face. His voice failed him as he choked out. What is this? I chuckled. What else could it be? My corpse, of course. Fu Xingxian only hesitated for a moment before fixing his gaze firmly. Where did you get this fake body from? You're actually helping Ling Shuang deceive me. What benefits did she offer you? Do you think I've never seen a dead body? This thing is as pale as a wax figure. No one could look like this even after death. Fu Xingxian slammed the door and left, ordering a full search of the ship for my whereabouts. I let out a cold laugh. How could a body that died from bleeding out be the same as one that died naturally? Fu Xingxian had at most seen relatives and elders who died naturally, but he had never seen a death as gruesome and bloody as mine. Zhou Shiqian, who had caught up, wanted to enter the room, but Fu Xingxian stopped her with a firm hand. Don't go in, that vile woman set up a bloody fake corpse to scare people. If you see it, you'll probably have trouble sleeping again. Zhou Shiqian, trembling with fear, clung to Fu Xingxuan's arm. She actually made something so terrifying. Could it be that she's trying to play the part of a martyr to soften your heart? Fu Xingxian let out a cold laugh. She would do anything to get my attention. Even if I told you her scheme, you wouldn't stoop to such a level. Zhou Cece obediently nodded, her voice soft and delicate. How could Cece ever use such despicable means to deceive Brother Fu? I would never deceive you. I laughed so hard that tears almost came out. They really know how to flatter me. I had no idea I was so cunning. Fu Xingxian had someone check all the ship's surveillance, but they never found any trace of my hiding, yet he stubbornly clung to the belief that it was all a carefully orchestrated illusion of my making, especially after the first mate discovered one of the dinghies was missing. Fu Xingxian let out a scornful laugh. So that's why we couldn't find it. She pulled a vanishing act and slipped away long ago. He slammed his fist down on the table with a bang, startling Zhou Qianqian through gritted teeth. Fu Xingxian said, "Turn the ship around, I want to see just how far she thinks she can get, rowing that little dinghy all by herself. I'll scour every inch of this ocean if I have to, drag her back, and string her up all over again." Zhou Qianqian said with worry, "What if we can't find Sister Lu?" Fu Xingxian soothed her gently, "Don't worry, I'll make her kneel before you and apologize personally. I won't allow a vicious, irresponsible woman to stay by my side. I'll have her back here within 3 days, I promise." Moved, Zhou Qianqian kissed Gu Shangnan, a flash of triumph in her eyes. Fu Xingxian kissed her as if trying to melt her into his very bones, their embrace passionate and inseparable. My thoughts drifted back to the past when I first met Fu Xingxian. He was the sole heir of a wealthy family, and I was the daughter of a newly rich tycoon. The real elite families looked down on us and even refused to cooperate with us. Only Fu Xingxian treated me the same way all along, and he would actively point out the flaws in my plans. From that moment on, I fell in love with him. But Fu Xingxuan's eyes never saw me. Only when he grabbed me after being drugged by someone while drunk did I finally get the chance to get close to him. As soon as Fu Xingxian woke up, he looked at me with utter disgust, as if I were the one who drugged him. To prove my innocence, I voluntarily showed the surveillance footage and assured him I would never bother him, which finally softened Fu Xingxuan's expression. But he suddenly said he wanted to marry me, and I knew he didn't love me, probably just out of a sense of responsibility, so I rejected him outright. Little did I know, he had proposed marriage just to spite Zhou Qianqian. My father once joked that I was turning my back on my own family, urging me to be more cautious, but I was completely swept off my feet by a few sweet words from Fu Xingxian, believing wholeheartedly that he was the best person in the world. I forgot that Fu Xingxian and Zhou Cece had grown up together since childhood. Underestimating the depth of their bond, I dove headfirst into the sweet trap he had fabricated for me, and from then on, there was no turning back. I was really stupid, unable to see through his playboy nature. Many times, he warned me harshly, "If you dare touch Cece, I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life," I anxiously explained, pleading with him not to misunderstand me. But Fu Xingxian would only stand by Zhou Cece's side again and again. "You're so malicious and you dare to slander Cece. If I don't teach you a lesson, you'll probably keep being stubborn." He ignored my struggles and pleas, forcing me to be bound and hung up to be exposed to the sun. I once saw him as a ray of sunshine in my life, not knowing he was the abyss. What he pursued, loved, and desired was never me. It was my folly. I was too naive. The sea was still raging with strong winds, and to soothe the frightened Zhou Cece, Fu Xingxian threw non-stop, high energy. Everyone was praising them as a perfect match, talented and promising, with no one remembering me. Fu Xingxian was also wholeheartedly spoiling Zhou Cece to the heavens, but he had no idea that Zhou Cece had become involved with a 60-something foreign director in her first year abroad, all just to secure a ticket into the flower acting scene. She had rushed back to the country a few months ago, only because the director's wife threatened her with nude photos, forcing her to return in disgrace. But Fu Xingxian was completely unaware of all this, and even abandoned a billion-dollar deal to welcome Zhou Cece back. Zhou Qianqian shed crocodile tears. "Brother Fu, you've sacrificed so much for me. I truly don't know how I can ever repay you." Fu Xingxian merely offered a faint smile. "Money can always be earned back. The real sin would have been missing your arrival." At the time, although I felt a bit uneasy inside, I didn't dwell on it too much. I simply chalked it up to Fu Xingxian being momentarily carried away by the joy of welcoming his sister. It wasn't until Zhou Qianqian deliberately wore my nightgown and lay provocatively on Fu Xingxuan's bed to taunt me that I finally realized the sordid affair between them. In response to my angry questioning, Fu Xingxian simply brushed it off. She accidentally got her clothes dirty, so I let her pick one. Don't be so petty. Besides, she just got the rooms mixed up and went to the wrong one. I still had doubts, but Zhou Cixi suddenly knelt down and cried, apologizing. Before I could figure out what to say, Fu Xingxian was already furious and had taken Zhou Cixi away, saying, since you can't accept her, I'll take Cixi and move out. That night, he took Zhou Cixi to the most luxurious hotel and indulged in pleasure all night. I was filled with remorse for ever doubting his sincerity. I cooked a lavish feast, hoping he would accept my apology. The trending topics were flooded with headlines about the CEO spending a fortune for his one true love. The steaming dishes gradually grew cold, and in the end, I spitefully ate every last bite. Even when my stomach pains landed me in the hospital, Fu Xingxian never once came to see me. That was the first time I realized he might not love me. I always come out second best in front of Zhou Cixi, just like now. She stands beside Fu Xingxian in her haute couture gown, while I am but a shattered ghost. Thank you, Fu Gij, for going out of your way for me. Since our family went bankrupt and my parents jumped to their deaths, you're the only one who's been so kind to me. It's a shame Sister Ling Shuang isn't here. If she were, I would sincerely wish you both happiness together, and I would tell her that I've already forgiven her. I chuckled to myself, I'm already dead. What use is her forgiveness to me now? Fu Xingxian affectionately ruffled her hair. Don't worry, I'll find Ling Shuang even if I have to turn the sea upside down. Haven't we already seen her? What exactly is he trying to find? I was forced to stay by Fu Xingxuan's side, watching helplessly as he scooped Zhou Qianqian into his arms and carried her back to her room. Faced with Zhou Qianqian's expectant, love-filled gaze, a surge of emotion darkened Fu Xingxuan's eyes. He lowered his head and pressed a kiss to her forehead, biting back her disappointment. Zhou Qianqian asked, Brother Fu, are you going to retire for the night? Fu Xingxian nodded. He soothed her with a soft voice, urging her to get some proper rest. Then, he walked onto the deck alone. Large raindrops fell on him as he stared intently at the chain. Back then, Fu Xingxian had them bring the chain that bound me, and to ensure I couldn't escape, he had them lock it. He didn't allow anyone near here, fearing I might escape. He never took loving me seriously, but he was so meticulous in hurting me. Fu Xingxian clenched his fists tightly, never stepping closer to look. If he took just 2 more steps forward, he would immediately see the bloodstains that the rain couldn't wash away. My blood. After a long while, he finally muttered softly, Ling Shuang, you're dead if I find you. Can I die again if I'm already dead? Fu Xingxian made up his mind and was about to move forward when a crew member's voice came from behind. President, we found the missing speedboat. It wasn't lost. It got stuck in the wooden planks. How is that possible? Inside, it was deathly silent. If the motorboat isn't lost, then where would I be? Could that corpse really be me? Watching Fu Xingxuan's face turn deathly pale, I instantly knew exactly what was going through his mind. He stumbled back towards the cabin, heading for the spot where he had just found me. I followed quietly behind Fu Xingxian and let out a sinister chuckle. For some reason, his entire body suddenly gave a violent shudder. Even as a ghost, seeing my own death scene still makes me a bit scared, but watching Fu Xingxuan's pupils constrict and his body stiffen, I suddenly wasn't afraid anymore. I floated in front of him, manifesting my terrifying death appearance, with only my upper body crawling in front of him, leaving a trail of blood behind me. The door was pushed open, and Fu Xingxian was so overwhelmed by the smell that he gagged immediately. The sweltering weather hastened the decomposition of the corpse, making the already unrecognizable half-body even more gruesome. The crew members who came running dared not move, only staring blankly at Fu Xingxian. No one could see me, yet I still wailed and begged for mercy, repeatedly screaming the cries I made before my death. Boom! Suddenly, lightning flashed and thunder roared. The storm at sea grew increasingly violent, with waves so terrifyingly huge the ship was tossed about helplessly, like a leaf adrift on the vast ocean. Zhou Qianqian, who had long been fast asleep, was thrown right out of bed by the violent rocking, hitting her head and raising a nasty bump, meeting that bulging eye once more. Fu Xingxian couldn't help but be so startled that he stumbled and fell to the floor. The dried blood flowed out again from the half-body, spreading to Fu Xingxuan's feet. The hull kept rocking, and suddenly a silver ring rolled out from my half-body. It was the engagement ring of Fu Xingxian and me, which I had never taken off. We had sworn to each other that, except for death, no one could take off each other's engagement rings. Now, I am already dead. Fu Xingxian had long since taken off his ring because Zhou Qianqian said it looked bad. The cabin was filled with the stench of decay, yet Fu Xingxian seemed to have lost his sense of smell. With trembling hands, he picked up the ring and tried to put it back on my finger. Impossible. How could you be dead? Impossible. Don't you dare try to fool me. The ring couldn't even be put on because as soon as Fu Xingxian touched my finger, it broke. He was completely stunned, his face full of disbelief with that affectionate look. Anyone would think he loved me so much, but it was clearly him who orchestrated my death, so. What's with this act of being a great lover? The crewman finally couldn't hold back his plea. Sir, the madam is really gone. We retrieved this half of her body ourselves. She was torn apart by a shark while she was still alive. Fu Xingxian roared and charged out, colliding head-on with Zhou Qianqian. Impossible. The moment he saw Zhou Qianqian, he seized her shoulders in a death grip. Didn't you swear this sea had no sharks? Why was Ling Xuan killed by one? Her sharp eyes caught a glimpse of my mangled, bloody corpse, but before any secret glee could surface, Fu Xingxuan's hand was around her throat. Answer me. He looked deranged, and Zhou Cixi shuddered in fear. I don't know. Sister Ling Xuan said this sea area was safe. I don't know why it's like this. She's lying. I clearly said there are sharks in this sea area. You can't just stick your head out. But she wouldn't believe me, and even deliberately jumped into the water after being rescued in time. She even accused me of deliberately hitting the reef and causing her to fall into the water. How could I possibly endanger everyone on board just to frame her, with the hidden reefs beneath the sea being so treacherous? But Fu Xingxian didn't believe my words, convinced that I was lying. At this thought, I was so enraged that tears of blood streamed down, and my hollow eyes brimmed with hatred. With a thunderclap, all the lights on the ship went out instantly. Darkness enveloped everything, save for a pool of bloody, dim light where my severed corpse lay. The horrific, unsettling scene sent everyone fleeing in a panic. Even the usually composed Fu Xingxian shrank back in terror, stammering, Ling Xuan, is that you, Ling Xuan? He demanded with a trembling voice, but I remained silent, only letting out a soft, chilling chuckle as I blew a cold breath by his ear. Zhou Cixi was so terrified that she fainted on the spot and lost control of her bladder and bowels. Compared to my miserable death, this is far from enough. Fu Xingxuan's eyes widened in horror, and I met his gaze the moment I turned my head. Oh no, can he see me now? Ling Xuan, it wasn't me. I didn't kill you. It wasn't me. Don't come after me. I floated in front of him, my pale face almost touching his. Fu Xingxian strained his neck to create distance, his face filled with fear. You deliberately hurt Zhou Xiqian. That's why I wanted to teach you a lesson. If it weren't for you being pregnant with someone else's child, how could I have been so harsh with you? In the end, it's you who wronged me. Why should you seek revenge on me? You made the mistake yourself, and it was the shark that killed you. What does that have to do with me? Fu Xingxian grew more confident with each word, completely absolving himself of any guilt. I continued to shriek with reckless, blood-curdling intensity. The entire ship rocked violently from side to side, sending ornaments flying and shattering into pieces. Fu Xingxian could only cover his ears helplessly, with nowhere to run or hide. Everyone who had meddled could see me. Even Zhou Qianqian, who had long since fallen unconscious, was being hunted by me in her nightmares, letting out desperate, pleading screams. But why on earth should I spare them? The reef Fu Xingxian deliberately struck to punish me had already sown the seeds of their doom. That section of the hull couldn't withstand the storm. It was breached and taking on water in under half an hour. Icy seawater flooded the cabin, sealing their fate in the depths of the sea. I watched helplessly as they ran to the deck, desperately shouting for help. And Zhou Cixi, she had already been forgotten by Fu Xingxian, who was busy fleeing. She was the first to drown. Watching the Coast Guard patrolling in the distance, I gradually calmed my resentment. Revenge is one thing, but I won't harm the innocent. The Coast Guard arrived in time, rescuing everyone, including Zhou Cixi's body. I wonder if it was guilt that made Fu Xingxian take my body with him when he fled. Seeing the clear ligature marks on the half-body, the well-trained Coast Guard immediately arrested everyone on board. There is a rule in Huagua for any vessel that sets out to sea: if someone dies or goes missing, everyone on board will be held criminally liable. Therefore, even if someone dies of a sudden illness on the ship, the crew will preserve the body in a freezer, all to avoid suspicion of murder. After the autopsy, the police confirmed my identity and cause of death, and also determined that Fu Xingxian was the father of the child in my womb. Fu Xingxian looked at the police in disbelief. How is that possible? How could the child in her womb be mine? The tardy assistant hesitated before speaking. A few months ago, when you were drunk, it was the madam who took care of you. Hearing this, Fu Xingxian was struck as if by lightning, but the police wouldn't give him a chance to space out. With a cold expression, they said, there are signs of binding on Ms. Ling Xuan's body. She was alive when she was hung up, which is the fatal reason why she couldn't escape being devoured by sharks. After investigating the ship's black box and the crew's testimonies, you are the mastermind who had Ms. Ling Xuan hung up. You are the one who killed her. No, that's not true. Fu Xingxian frantically tried to explain, but the police wouldn't take his word at face value like he did. They only believe in evidence. I watched coldly as Fu Xingxian was sentenced and imprisoned, and I personally haunted his dreams every night. It wasn't until he was driven mad by fear, raving and banging his head against the wall to his death, that I truly let go. In that moment of complete release, I felt as if a heavy burden had lifted from me. A warm white light enveloped me from afar, and I saw a monk in saffron robes who said he would guide me. I followed the voice unconsciously. When I opened my eyes again, it was a completely different world.